Consider this uncomfortable truth. Nearly 60% of all custom personal computer builders overspend by at least $300 on hardware they will never fully utilize. You are essentially paying a tax for a future that will be obsolete before you even finish the installation. This is the cold, calculated world of the graphics processing unit, where marketing departments spin webs of confusion to keep you reaching for your wallet. Today, we strip away the corporate gloss and look at the brutal reality of the advanced micro-devices landscape. The nomenclature used by advanced micro-devices is not a sequence of random numbers, though it often feels like a riddle designed by a bored mathematician. It follows a hierarchy of power that mirrors their central processing units, creating a false sense of familiarity for the unsuspecting buyer. The first digit represents the generation, the architectural era that defines the limits of the card's soul. The subsequent numbers dictate the performance tier, a digital caste system where more cores and higher bandwidth determine your status in the gaming world. A higher tier usually translates to more raw power, regardless of the year it was manufactured. You must learn to read through the numbers to see the actual silicon beneath. Consider the 5000 series, the ancient guard built on the original RDNA architecture. In the year 2019, this was a revolutionary break from the aging graphics core Next design that had held the company back for a decade. It was a leap into the unknown, a frantic attempt to reclaim relevance in a market dominated by green giants. But today, these cards are relics of a forgotten time, lacking the ability to trace rays of light or utilize modern upscaling technologies. Buying one now is like purchasing a steam engine in the age of the jet turbine. Unless you find one in a bargain bin for the price of a modest dinner, it is a path leading only to disappointment. Then came the 6000 series, the architecture known as RDNA 2, which marked the true comeback of the Red Team. This was the moment they stopped apologizing for their existence and started swinging for the fences. They introduced ray tracing, achieved massive gains in efficiency, and provided a level of frames per dollar that made the competition look predatory. Even now, in the year 2025, these cards remain the backbone of many budget builds. They are the dependable workhorses for 1080p and 1440p gaming, proving that good engineering can outlast the hype cycle. The shift to the 7000 series and RDNA 3 represented a fundamental change in how chips are actually constructed. Advanced micro-devices moved toward a chiplet design, breaking the monolithic silicon into smaller, more efficient pieces. This allowed for higher clock speeds and the inclusion of modern necessities like AV1 encoding and DisplayPort 2.1. It also saw a massive increase in video random access memory, a crucial factor as modern games become increasingly bloated and inefficient. The 7800 XT emerged as a particular favorite, hitting a sweet spot that balanced cost with high-resolution capability. You might find yourself looking for the 8000 series, only to realize there is a gaping void where it should be. There is no mystery here, only the cold logic of branding and market segmentation. The company reserved the 8000 designation primarily for mobile chips and integrated solutions to keep their notebook partners happy. They chose to jump straight to the 9000 series for desktop components, to align their branding with the Ryzen 9000 processors. It is a psychological trick, making you believe you are skipping a generation of progress when you are simply following a new map. In the year 2025, we have arrived at the 9000 series, built on the RDNA 4 architecture. This generation is less about chasing the dragon of raw theoretical power and more about the reality of consistent performance. The engineers focused on improving ray tracing throughput and integrating AI-assisted upscaling through the fourth iteration of Fidelity FX Super Resolution. It is an architecture built for the stability of 1440p and 4K gaming, prioritizing smooth frame delivery over meaningless benchmark victories. It reflects a shift from adolescent boasting to mature, calculated efficiency. To navigate this market, you must understand the suffixes that trail behind the numbers like shadows. The XT designation indicates a faster, more capable version of the base model, while the XTX represents the absolute peak of that specific tier. In recent years, we have seen the emergence of the GRE, or Golden Rabbit Edition, which serves as a value-focused middle ground. There are also M and S variants, which are the shackled versions of these chips destined for the thermal constraints of laptops. These letters are the fine-tuning knobs on the engine, adjusting the price and performance to fit specific niches of the market. The greatest mistake a consumer can make is conflating the generation with the performance tier. Silicon does not care about the date it was stamped, only the amount of logic gates it possesses. A higher tier card from a previous generation will frequently dismantle a lower tier card from the current year. For instance, an RX 6700 will often outperform a 7600 in real-world scenarios due to its superior memory bus and core count. You must break the habit of chasing the newest number and instead focus on the tier that matches your actual needs. Tier matters more than the year of release in almost every measurable way. There is a reason ancient cards like the RX 580 have survived in the wild for so long. They were built with a surplus of raw power that allowed them to brute force their way through years of software updates. However, we are reaching a tipping point where raw power is no longer the only currency of value. Modern titles now demand features found in DirectX 12 Ultimate, such as mesh shaders and sampler feedback. Even if an old card has the muscle to push pixels, a lack of modern feature support can render it effectively useless. Compatibility is the silent killer of hardware longevity. You must also consider the physical reality of these modern behemoths, as they have grown to sizes that would baffle a builder from 2010. Graphics cards are now massive blocks of metal and fans that can exceed 300 millimeters in length. If you do not check your case clearance before clicking the buy button, you are inviting a logistical nightmare into your home. Furthermore, the sheer weight of these cards can cause them to sag, putting immense pressure on your motherboard's PCIe slot. Using a support bracket is no longer an aesthetic choice. It is a structural necessity to prevent your expensive hardware from snapping under its own weight. Do not be tempted by the professional allure of the Radeon Pro series, unless you are actually getting paid for your rendering time. These cards are engineered for the absolute stability required in computer-aided design and high-end video production. They are not optimized for the erratic frame times of gaming, and their drivers are tuned for accuracy rather than speed. Buying a Pro card for gaming is like buying a literal tractor to drive on a Formula One track. It is a specialized tool that will only frustrate you when you try to use it for entertainment. It is no coincidence that both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are powered by advanced micro-devices hardware. The company has mastered the art of the accelerated processing unit, combining a powerful central processor and a graphics processor into a single, efficient chip. This level of integration is something their competitors have struggled to match at a console price point. The fact that the entire gaming industry is optimized for this specific architecture is the primary reason why consoles can punch so far above their weight class. When you buy a Radeon card, you are buying into the same DNA that defines the modern gaming landscape. When we compare the red team to the green team, the differences are stark and philosophical. Advanced micro devices generally offers a much better ratio of price to performance and provides more video random access memory at every price point. They excel in rasterization, which is the traditional way games are rendered without the heavy lifting of ray tracing. On the other hand, the competition still holds an edge in heavy ray tracing scenarios and has a more mature upscaling ecosystem with DLSS. However, by the year 2026, the introduction of FSR4 has largely neutralized this advantage for the average user. There is also the concept of the ecosystem advantage, often marketed as smart access memory. By pairing a Ryzen processor with a Radeon graphics card, you allow the CPU to have full access to the GPU's memory buffer. This removes a significant bottleneck and can result in performance gains of up to 15% in certain titles. While the competition has introduced similar features, the synergy within an all-advanced micro-devices system remains the most seamless. It is a reward for loyalty that actually manifests as tangible, measurable frames per second. If you are looking for the best entry-level experience in the current market, the 7600 remains the logical choice. It provides solid performance at 1080p, consumes very little power, and includes the AV1 encoder for high-quality streaming. It is the pragmatic choice for the gamer who cares more about the experience than the prestige of their components. It does not try to be something it is not, and it offers a modern feature set without a predatory price tag. For many, this is more than enough to satisfy the digital itch. For those venturing into the realms of 1440p and 4K, the 9070 XT is the current champion of value. It comes equipped with 16 gigabytes of memory, ensuring that it will not choke on high-resolution textures for several years. The improvements in RDNA 4 mean that it can handle ray tracing with a level of competence that was previously unavailable at this price. It is the high-end experience stripped of the exorbitant luxury tax often found at the top of the market. It is a serious tool for the serious enthusiast who refuses to be exploited. The final takeaway from this journey through the silicon landscape is to ignore the marketing slogans and focus on the data. You must evaluate a card based on its performance tier, its memory capacity, and how it performs in the games you actually play. Do not be seduced by the promise of revolutionary technology that will only be relevant when the card itself is obsolete. If you value a smooth, consistent gameplay experience over flashy, proprietary effects, then the red team is often the more intelligent path. Knowledge is the only weapon you have against the relentless machinery of consumerism. As you sit there, contemplating your next move in this expensive game, ask yourself if you are buying a tool or a status symbol. Are you chasing a higher number on a benchmark screen? Or are you looking for a way to enjoy your hobby without financial ruin? The silicon does not care about your dreams, and the corporations do not care about your budget. They only care about the cycle of consumption that keeps the factory fires burning. If you have found some clarity in this cold analysis, then ensure you are subscribed to this channel for more unfiltered truths. What is the most you have ever spent on a component you didn't need? And was the regret worth the fra?